Hi, my dear lovely students. A very warm welcome, buddies, to this session. Now, as you know, in today's session, we have a last chapter to study, which is chemical coordination and integration. So, let's complete this chapter. And yes, within very short time, we will complete everything which is there in your NCERT. So, let's start. So, here. Chemical coordination and integration, buddies, we are going to start. And here, buddy, this chapter is all about different hormone and the action and different glands who secretes it. Now, first is introduction. So, guys, you all know in our body, lots of endocrine glands are present. Endocrine glands, they are termed as ductless gland. They are termed as ductless gland. Why do we say they are ductless gland? We say that these are ductless gland because they do not have duct. When they do not have duct, so what will they do? They will pour their secretion directly in blood. So this is actually that these hormones, they are synthesized by one gland and they go to some structure and they affect their functioning. This is what the endocrine glands are. Ductless, do not have their own duct, and they pour their secretion directly into the blood. Now let's talk about the hormones. Hormones are the secretion. So the secretion has a name, which is the hormone, Now these hormones, the first thing you have to understand, they act as a messenger. One cell to another cell communicate with the help of these hormones, right? If I talk about the function is definitely it helps in the communication. And another very important thing is, these are non-nutritive in nature. Though these are made up of, many are made up of protein, many are made up of steroids. I'll talk about that. But they are non-nutritive in nature and they are produced in traces. Traces means very less amount. It means very less amount. Major is not required, very less amount it will be synthesized. So they act as a messenger. One cell will synthesize it, one cell will secrete it, and other cell will respond accordingly. Right? Now let's talk about the different types. So we have various categories of these endocrine hormones. These hormones, they can be proteinaceous in nature, protein, peptide, or peptone in nature. They can be amino acid derived. Some are related to iodine. Iodine combined means they are also amino acid derived, but they are having iodine on them. Some very important are steroid in nature. Steroid are the cholesterol derived, steroid in nature. Right? These are the different categories of the hormones. Point clear? So they act as a messenger. So hope this point is clear. So in our body, lots of endocrine glands are present. So first endocrine gland, which you can see over here, is a hypothalamus, which is along with the endocrine, it is a nervous also. Second is a pituitary hanging from the hypothalamus. Next we have is a pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, we have a thymus. Similarly, heart present here also acts as an endocrine gland. Kidneys also act as an endocrine gland. Our gut, gastrointestinal tract also act as endocrine gland. Thymus, endocrine gland. The pancreas, endocrine gland. The adrenal, endocrine gland. The testis in case of male is endocrine gland. Ovaries in case of female is a endocrine gland. So what will they secrete? They will secrete the hormones, and hormones are, these are the different categories of the hormone. So what we are going to do is, we will be talking about these glands one by one. So starting definitely we'll do with the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus So if someone asks you the position, first let's talk about the position. Where is this present? This is present at the base of diencephalon. At the base of diencephalon. At the base of diencephalon. Right? So, listen very carefully. This is a thalamus, a dumbbell-shaped structure. We have already done the chapter neural control and coordination. And this is how the epithalamus is present, and this is how the hypothalamus is present. What is this? This is the thalamus. Coordinating center, whatever reflex, whatever information goes to the cerebrum, it goes through the thalamus. This is the epithalamus. I'm just giving a rough diagram. And this is the hypothalamus. 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 Right? This hypothalamus has two roles. First is the endocrine, because as you know, it is included in this chapter. It is endocrine. And the second one is, along with the endocrine, this hypothalamus, this is also neural in nature. Neural means it coordinates the various activities in our body. For example, it is the center for, this is a center which, regulate the body temperature, thirst, hunger, is because of the hypothalamus. Whereas the endocrine part is also there. So in endocrine part, it releases some hormone which are termed as releasing hormone, and the inhibiting hormone. Inhibiting hormones. These releasing hormone, they go to the pituitary. I'll tell you how. They go to the pituitary, and pituitary in terms release hormone. Now whenever these inhibiting hormone, they goes to the pituitary, this stops the secretion. Stop inhibiting. They inhibit the secretion of the pituitary. They stimulate the secretion of the pituitary hormone, releasing and inhibiting hormone. Then we are not talking about the neural part because we have already done that in the previous chapter. Now let's have a look. What can you see here? Here you will see hypothalamus is present. This is a hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is present. Here hypothalamus, you will see the neurons are present. These neurons are termed as a hypothalamic neuron as per your NCERT. And these neurons, they are secretory in nature. They are secretory in nature. When I am saying they are secretory in nature, so definitely they will do some secretion. Some neurons, which you can see over here, they release releasing hormone and the inhibiting hormone. Now listen very carefully. Inhibitory. Two type of hormone these neurons they secrete. These hormones, they will go to a circulation which is termed as a portal circulation, Another name is hypophyseal portal circulation. Hypophyseal. So this circulation is between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. Now with the help of this circulation, this releasing and inhibiting hormone, they go to the anterior pituitary. First part of the pituitary is anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary, in response to these releasing hormone, will release the hormone. In response to inhibitory hormone, they stop releasing the hormone. Done? Point clear? So if I talk about the communication between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary, that occur through the hypophyseal portal circulation. Let's talk about the another part, which is the hypothalamic neuron present at the back side. These are also secretory in nature, and they basically secrete antidiuretic hormone, which we have done in excretive products in their elimination, ADH, and the second one is the oxytocin. ADH, another name is vasopressin. You remember? Vasopressin. Now these two hormones, ADH and the oxytocin, they directly go to the posterior pituitary and they are released from the posterior pituitary. So that means posterior pituitary does not synthesize their own hormone. It is these hypothalamic neuron which synthesize these hormone, and ultimately it is released from the posterior pituitary. Done? Clear? Now this pituitary, you can see this is attached to the hypothalamus with the help of this stalk. And you know what's the name of the stalk? Infundibulum. Infundibulum. And this is present in a cavity of the bone. This is termed as sella turcica. Sella turcica cavity. Done? Hope this is clear till now. Now moving on to the next. Let's talk about the pituitary gland. Now let's talk about the pituitary gland. So pituitary gland, you know, what was the diagram? Diagram was somewhere like this. Right? Now if I talk about this is the AP, anterior pituitary, and this is the PP, posterior pituitary. Done? Clear? Two lobes are there, anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary has another name which is adenohypophysis. Adenohypophysis. Another name, this is the name of this is neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis is that pituitary, that anterior pituitary, which is further having two different parts. One, which you can see over here, see, this is the part, this is the part, and this part is termed as pars distalis. Middle one we have is this part, which is the pars intermedia. So it has two parts. Adenohypophysis has two different parts, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Whereas pars nervosa is a part of the neurohypophysis mentioned below also. Done? Pars distalis secrete hormones such as gonadotrophins. These gonadotrophins are the FSH and LH. FSH is the follicular stimulating hormone. Follicular stimulating hormone, which help in the growth of follicle. What's the role? Role is it helps in the growth of follicle. Growth of follicle. And the second one is the luteinizing hormone. See, this follicular stimulating hormone and this LH has different function as far as the male and females are considered. Now let's talk about first these two, because here only I will complete the testes and ovaries as a gland. I'll show you. See, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, they secrete a hormone which is GnRH, gonadotrophin releasing hormone. What do they secrete? Gonadotrophin releasing hormone, GnRH. This GnRH goes to the anterior pituitary. Now I have a question for you. This travel occurs through dash. GnRH, it travels through dash circulation. So you have to give me that answer in the comment section. I'll be waiting for your answer. This goes to the anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary will secrete the FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, and the LH. Similarly, in case of male also, same thing will occur, LH and the FSH. Now let's complete both these things here. Here, buddies, I am writing with respect to the male, and here I am writing with respect to the females. In both the cases, hormones, same type of hormone are synthesized, but their function is different. Okay. This is an ovary. In the ovary, you will find the follicles are present. Follicles. These are the follicles. Follicles. These follicles, they grow. They grow. Follicles, they are present in ovary before our birth. So they are present in ovary. Lots of these are present. Now these follicles, they grow. Out of these follicles, they some form the secondary follicle, then the tertiary follicle, and the Graafian follicle. So these follicles, they develop. They develop, and ultimately they form the mature follicle during the menstrual cycle. In one menstrual cycle, one Graafian follicle, they release a secondary oocyte. And whatever is left behind is termed as corpus luteum, CL, corpus luteum. Now, growth of follicle, you can see this growth of follicle is because of the follicular stimulating hormone. Whereas if I talk about the release of the oocyte, what is this? This is a secondary oocyte. Is because of the luteinizing hormone, LH surge. Whatever is left behind will help in the synthesis of further hormone such as estrogen and progesterone. So this acts as a temporary endocrine gland. Similarly, the growing follicles also release estrogen. So that means ovary releases estrogen. Very important. And estrogen is important for the secondary sexual characteristics in case of female. It also helps in the menstruation. I won't go into detail because detail is there in the class 12th. Right? So follicular stimulating hormone. What's the role of follicular stimulating hormone? Growth of follicles. In case of female. Whereas the LH role is ovulation. Done. So testes also release ovaries also release progesterone and estrogen. So this you should know. The difference is done. Now let's talk about the luteinizing hormone and FSH in case of male. Scrotal sac, testes are present. Scrotal sac, testes. What are these? Testes. When you will take a transverse section of testis, you will realize, you will take a section of the testis, you will realize here some cells, some tubules, because they are tube. You will find here some tubes are present, and if you will take a section of the tube, you will find the cross section of a tube. Tube is a circular, so you will find some circles present over here. So these are actually the tubules, tube. So you have taken a section of those tube. So these are termed as seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubules. So in seminiferous tubules, sperms are present in stages of development. Here what do we find? Sperms. Sperms are present in the various stages of development. Sperms are present in various stages of development. Mature sperms are present in the center. Here some cells are present outside, which are termed as interstitial cell. Interstitial cell or the Leydig cell. Leydig cell. Now, here you will find some cells are there, which are the Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. Now, listen again, very important point. LH goes to the interstitial cells or the Leydig cell. And Leydig cells, L for Leydig cells, they secrete the testosterone. The androgen, a kind of androgen in case of male. They secrete androgen. Follicular stimulating hormone goes to the Sertoli cells, and Sertoli cells in this response, they secrete the ABP, androgen binding protein, which also secrete the sperm maturation factor. And along with that, it provides nutrition also to sperm. So ultimately, their role is formation of sperm. Testosterone also helps in the formation of sperm. But the role is different. So how you can remember? L for Leydig cell, L for LH, L act on the Leydig cell. And it helps in synthesis of the testosterone. So hope this point is clear. This is inside the tubules, Sertoli cells, outside interstitial cells or the Leydig cells are present. And where will you find sperms? Sperms are present in this tube. Mature sperms, they are present in center. Done? So this is done. Let's move back. This point we have done, right? Point done. Now moving on to the next is thyrotroph. Thyrotroph. Thyrotroph is the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. This goes to the thyroid gland, and thyroid gland in this turn secretes what? Hormones. The thyroid hormone, which is T3 and T4, which I'll explain you later on. Corticotroph is the ACTH, adenocorticotrophin hormone. This goes to a adrenal gland, and adrenal gland in this term secrete the corticoids. Corticoids, which is life-saving, in fact. Lactotroph, prolactin releasing hormone. This helps in release the prolactin. Lactotroph, prolactin. Prolactin, same. Lactotroph is prolactin only. Should write. For example, prolactin is released. This helps in formation of milk in mammary gland at the time of pregnancy. Now, moving on to the next is melanocyte stimulating hormone. Melanocyte stimulating hormone goes to pineal gland. Pineal gland. And pineal gland in this term, where is this pineal gland present? Here only, at the dorsal side of the forebrain. Same, pineal gland is present, and pineal gland secrete melatonin. Melatonin, right? Which is responsible for 24-hour cycle, the body temperature, metabolism, menstrual cycle in female. Oxytocin is a birth hormone. Birth hormone, which helps in the birth and the ejection of milk from mammary gland. Birth hormone, it helps in the contraction of the uterus so that easy birth of baby can happen. ADH, antidiuretic hormone, this is the one which is responsible for more reabsorption of water from DCT and CD, collecting ADH and vasopressin. Done, guys? Clear? This point is done. Now let's move on to the next gland, that is the pineal gland. Pineal gland is present at the dorsal side of the forebrain. It secretes a hormone which is melatonin. Melatonin, let's talk about the role of melatonin. This is the one which is responsible for 24/7, that is the diurnal cycle, that is the circadian rhythm, that is the biological clock. This is the one which is responsible for metabolism also. Yes. This is the one which is responsible for the pigmentation of the skin also, melanin. Pigmentation. This is the one which is responsible for menstrual cycle in female. Any doubt? These are the different role of the pineal gland. Now let's talk about the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland, sides of the trachea, thyroid glands are present. So in thyroid gland you will find two lobes are present. It is two lobes are present, connected by connective tissue. Connective tissue, and connective tissue name is isthmus. Connective tissue, this is termed as isthmus. I'll show you in the diagram. Two lobes connected by this is the isthmus. Connective tissue is present. Now Let's take a section. In the section, you will find some follicular cells are present. Follicular cells. And some parafollicular cells are present. What is this? Parafollicular cells. What about the orange one which you can see? These are the follicular cells. Follicular cells. Now let's talk about the parafollicular cells first. Parafollicular cells are those cells which are also termed as C cells. C cells. These C cells, they secrete calcitonin. In some books, you will find the name as paracalcitonin. Same. This calcitonin is related to calcium. Calcium, right? Same. So this is the one which is responsible for reducing the blood calcium level. Blood calcium level. It reduces the blood calcium level. How it reduces the blood calcium level? So this is basically hypocalcemic in nature. Hypocalcemic. Hypo means less. Calcemic means calcium. It reduces the blood calcium level. Hypocalcemic in nature. Reduces the blood calcium level. Now, as it reduces the blood calcium level, you can see over here. So where will this calcium go? Calcium deposit in bone. Calcium will go and deposit in bone. More calcium will go and deposit in bone. So this is the role of calcitonin. Hypocalcemic. Reduces the blood calcium level and the calcium will go to the bone and bones will become stronger. It's because of the parafollicular cells or the C cells. Moving on to the next is follicular cells. Follicular cells are those cells which secrete the T3 and T4. That is the triiodothyronin and tetraiodothyronin. Iodo means iodine is there. Iodo means iodine. So iodine containing hormone is this only. And these hormones are the tyrosine derived. Now what is this tyrosine? Tyrosine is the amino acid. This is the tyrosine derived. Tyrosine is the amino acid. What is this? This is the amino acid, tyrosine. Now what is the role? Let's talk about the role, very important part. What is the role? It regulates the metabolism. It regulates the metabolism. Right? Regulate the metabolism. This is the one which is responsible, other than BMR, body temperature. This is the one which regulates the erythropoiesis. And the homeostasis, that is the salt and electrolyte balance. Salt and electrolyte balance in the body is because of this T3 and T4. Triiodothyronin, tetraiodothyronin. Done? Clear? Now, whenever its deficiency occurs, now let's have a quick look. Suppose there is hypothyroidism. Hypo means less. Hypo means less. Hypothyroidism, less synthesis. So when I am saying there is a hypo means less synthesis. So if I talk about kids, that means in infant, when a mother is pregnant and she is taking less iodine in her diet, this can lead to creatinism. Creatinism is a condition where baby will be born. The baby who will be born will be, you know, mentally retarded and less growth will be there. Hypothyroidism. But the same case, when it occurs in the case of adult, this will be termed as myxedema. Myxedema. There will be edema. There will be, swelling. As well as these individuals, their basal metabolic rate will be less. So they tend to gain weight because they have a less metabolic rate. Right? This is in case of adult, myxedema. Similarly, it can lead to the goiter also, simple goiter. Simple goiter. Goiter means swelling of the thyroid gland, swelling, because they want to secrete more hormone and so they swell up. Now hypothyroidism is done. Let's talk about the hyperthyroidism. Hyper means more. Hyper means more. Hyperthyroidism, more. So when I am saying it is more synthesis, so it can lead to the person will be very thin. It can lead to the exophthalmic goiter or the Graves disease. Exophthalmic goiter. Another name is Graves disease. Graves disease. So person will be very thin. This can develop because of lots of follicular cells in the thyroid gland. That can be because of the cancer, right? Because of the cancer of the thyroid gland. So there is a hyperthyroidism. Exophthalmic goiter, because their eyes will be protruding to outside. Exophthalmic Graves disease. Done. Thyroid gland is done. One more point is left. Here I need to mention about the the growth hormone also. So anterior pituitary also secretes the GH, that is a growth hormone, and when there is hypersecretion, so hypersecretion and the hyposecretion, two conditions are possible. So when I am saying hyper means more secretion. More secretion, this can lead to more gigantism. Person will be huge, gigantism. It will be of huge size. And the second thing is the person, when it occurs in basically the babies, when the child is growing at that time, when there is hypersecretion, so it can lead to gigantism. So this is in case of kids. It starts from the birth, if it is the case. When it occurs in the adult, during the adult stage when growth hormone increases, this can lead to acromegaly. So they have a protruding jaw. Hyposecretion, when there is a hyposecretion, so that means it can lead to the dwarfism. So I don't have space here, so person will be of the short height, dwarfism. Right? So dwarfism. Now. Moving on to the next gland, which is a parathyroid gland. So parathyroid gland is present at the dorsal side of thyroid gland. Dorsal side of thyroid gland. Dorsal side of the thyroid gland. They secrete parathormone. Hypercalcemic, it increases the blood calcium level. Whenever blood calcium level reduces below, a standard value, so what will happen? The signal will go to the parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland will secrete the parathormone. It will increase the blood calcium level. But how? Demineralization of the bone, that is a bone resorption. Calcium reabsorption from the renal tubule and calcium absorption from the gut. These are the three ways by which this hormone increases the blood calcium level. This is hypercalcemic. Contradictory to the previous one, calcitonin, which reduces the blood calcium level. This increases the blood calcium level. So both of them, they are responsible for the calcium balance in the body. Now moving on to the next is thymus. Thymus. Where is this thymus present? Here. Thymus, this is a breastbone, sternum. So at the dorsal side of the sternum and ventral to aorta, heart, and in between the lungs we have is the thymus gland. Thymus gland secrete a hormone which is thymosin, which helps in proliferation of B lymphocyte into the B lymphocytes are the WBCs, are the type of lymphocyte WBCs. They help in proliferation of the B lymphocyte into plasma cells and the memory cells. Plasma cells are the one which produces the antibodies. And the memory cells, they help in proliferation of the T lymphocyte, which further differentiate into the T memory cells. Cytotoxic cell, another name is killer cell. Cytotoxic or the killer cell. These are the helper cell which helps. These are the suppressor cell which suppress the immune system. Right? Now, let's move on to the most important gland, which is the adrenal gland. Adrenal gland, where is this adrenal gland present? At the anterior surface of the anterior side of the kidney. So, if I'm saying this is a body structure above, so we say anterior. Lower side, we say posterior. Here, this side, the ventral side. This side, dorsal side. So, on the anterior side of the kidney, we have is this adrenal gland. How many? A pair of adrenal gland. If you'll take a section of the adrenal gland, you will find the outer area is termed as a cortex and the inner area is termed as a medulla. Cortex and medulla. Cortex will secrete further hormone and medulla also secretes further hormone. First, let's talk about the cortex hormone. Adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex, see, this is the adrenal cortex. Chalo, let's label it here. 3 layers are present, out of which the middle layer, this is termed as fasciculata, which is the thickest one. Outer is glomerulosa and the inner one is reticularis. 3 layers are there. So similarly, zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, and zona reticularis. First, zona glomerulosa secretes mineralocorticoids. Example is aldosterone. It is controlled by ACTH or renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. This we have studied in RAS, excretory products in their elimination. This increases the absorption of sodium and water from the DCT and decreases the absorption, or basically it eliminates the phosphate and potassium ion. Next is zona fasciculata. This is all, they basically secrete the cortisol, which is a life-saving hormone. Glucocorticoid, so it will be responsible for the glucose metabolism in the body. This is also controlled by ACTH. Increases the blood glucose level by breakdown of the carbohydrate, by breakdown of the fat, by breakdown of the protein. Anti-stress, RBC production, immunosuppressant, anti-allergic, everything is associated with the cortisols. Next is zona reticularis. It produces the sex corticoids, which is the estradiol and dihydroepiendosterone. This hormone, these two hormones, they are steroid hormone. They are steroid hormones only, and they helps in the growth of the body here, the pubic here. So this is produced in case of the female, and this is produced in case of male. Dihydroepiendosterone. When there is hyposecretion of these hormones, it leads to Addison disease. Hyposecretion of what? Hyposecretion of mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. Addison disease. Hyposecretion of mineralocorticoids and the glucocorticoids. Addison disease. Hypersecretion when there is more glucocorticoid. Cushing syndrome. Because once question has been asked from this topic, when there is hypersecretion of mineralocorticoids, Cohen disease. Done. Let's talk about this medulla. So medulla, though we have already done in the previous chapter. Medulla secretes 2 hormones, which is epinephrine or adrenaline, another name is adrenaline, or non-epinephrine or non-adrenaline. Same. They are termed as they are the part of the sympathetic nervous system, and they increases the heart rate, increase the breathing rate, piloerection, sweating. This leads to that. In fact, your mouth becomes dry, so less saliva secretion. So at the time of fight and flight response, these hormones, they are synthesized. Comes under the sympathetic nervous system. You remember? Now, let's move on to the next gland, that is a pancreas. Pancreas is heterocrine. What is this pancreas? Pancreas is heterocrine. It has a endocrine as well as exocrine activity. Right? Now here you will see acini cells are there. Acini cells helps in the formation of enzyme which helps in digestion of protein fats. Whereas we have the islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans are just 1 to 2% given in NCERT, very less. But still their number is in millions. It has 2 type of cells, though we know the 3 type of cells are there, but still we'll only talk about the one which is there in the NCERT, alpha and beta cells. Alpha cells of islets of Langerhans secretes glucagon, which increases the blood glucose level. Increases blood glucose level, which is another reason, another name is hyperglycemic. Next is beta cells. It secretes insulin, which reduces the blood glucose level, which is hypoglycemic. Hypo. It reduces the blood glucose level. Hyperglycemic and hypoglycemic. These 2 points are clear? Done? Any doubt? So, whenever one question has been asked, whenever there is deficiency of insulin leads to diabetes mellitus. And another we have studied in case of, the excretory product and elimination, whenever there is deficiency of ADH, that lead to diabetes insipidus. Right? This is mellitus, deficiency of insulin. Now let's talk about these hormones. Yes, our gastrointestinal tract also, other structure also, they secrete some hormone. Now let's talk about it. First, these are the hormones which are secreted from the heart, kidney and GIT. First is ANF or ANP. This is the one which is secreted by the heart. Right? And what does it do? It reduces the BP, blood pressure. Simple word. This reduces the blood pressure. If by high pressure blood comes to the heart, atrial wall secretes ANF. And this ANF helps in elimination of water from the body, which reduces the blood pressure. So body has a capacity to regulate the blood pressure. This is how they regulate it. Next is gastrin. One second. Yes. Now next is gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin and gastric inhibitory peptide. All these hormones, they are synthesized by the GIT, gastrointestinal tract. First, let's talk about the gastrin. Gastrin increases the stomach motility and HCl and enzyme secretion. This is the gastrin. Next is secretin. Secretin is the one which is responsible for increasing the secretion of bicarbonate ion, or basically it enhances or increases the pancreas secretion. I mean to say the enzyme secretion, bicarbonate ion secretion, etc. Cholecystokinin, so HCO3 negative I should write down here, so that they can neutralize the food coming from the stomach which is acidic. Cholecystokinin, it stimulates the gallbladder and release the bile. Next is gastric inhibitory peptide, reduces the gastric secretions. Gastric means stomach secretion. Either it is the HCl or the protein digesting enzyme. Erythropoietin is the one which is synthesized by the kidney, and this helps in erythropoiesis. Now you know erythropoiesis, formation of RBC, thyroid gland also plays a great role, and in fact kidneys also plays a great role. So these are the different roles. Now these hormones, as I've already told you, we have classified these hormones into 4 different categories. First category is protein, peptide, peptone. Pituitary, hypothalamic, insulin, and glucagon comes under this category. Iodine is your thyroid gland hormone, T3, T4. Steroid, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. Amino acid derived is epinephrine and non-epinephrine. Any doubt? Done. Super clear. Hope no doubt in this topic. Now these hormones, they have a different action. If I talk about your protein derived hormone, protein derived or protein peptide derived hormone, or amino acid hormones. These hormones, they cannot cross the plasma membrane because plasma membrane is hydrophobic. They cannot cross the plasma membrane. This is plasma membrane. So they will go and they will bind to the receptor present on the cell surface. By binding to the cell surface, they will initiate a cascade of reaction, which increases the secretion of secondary messengers such as cyclic AMP, calcium ion, inositol triphosphate, GMP, etc. These are the secondary messengers, which goes to the DNA and cause a corresponding change. So it's like a relay reaction. I will transfer the information to you, you will transfer the information to someone else, because I cannot cross a membrane, because I am, because this is hydrophobic and these hormones, they are hydrophilic. If I talk about the second type of hormone, such as your steroid hormone plus iodine derived hormone, they go directly inside the cell. They will go to directly inside the nucleus, and in the nucleus they will bind to some receptor and cause a corresponding change in the DNA, right? So that the DNA response can be modulated. These are the two ways by which these hormones act. So today, guys, we have learned a lot of things about this chapter. So if you still have any doubt and you have to give me one answer related to the transport of hormones. What was that? Yes, from hypothalamus to pituitary. So that answer I'll be waiting for in the comment section. Till then, have a nice day. Hope you enjoyed the session. If yes, then please let me know in the comment section. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Take care. Thank you so much.